Hey everybody, this is Brent Ingersoll, and this is the Speaking Of podcast. We are doing a special, fun, favorite segment called Headlines, where every so often I get together with Bradford Rogers and Shea Guptill and Anthony Moore, and we just talk about things that are going on in the world, headlines we've seen in the news. It's a ton of fun, and today's conversation got into some not just interesting and fun and funny areas, but really specifically there was some stuff that we just felt like God showed up and some things we were talking about that really mattered. And so I think you're going to enjoy this. I think you're going to find it meaningful. And here it is, our conversation through the headlines. Check it out. Well, welcome back, gang.
Yay. Let's go.
Here we are. Yeah. Another edition of Headlines.
Headlines!
Oh,
there we go.
Ron's on it.
There we go.
Ooh, it's very
He's
triumphant.
It is.
Nice. Our top story tonight.
Papers.
I don't know what our top story is. Yeah, you got to do this move.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, this is for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time. This is I think the third time we've done this. We're going to kind of make it a regular occurrence where we just kind of riff in real time react to current events. To current events and things going on in the world.
We needed a shot. We needed a shot of that.
We did.
Bradford.
Yes. Switch to Bradford really quick. Really? the real-time react to the headlines. And so producer Ron has gone ahead and picked out some things that might be noteworthy, newsworthy, or discussion-worthy, ranging from the fun to the odd to the spiritual to the maybe just complete bomb. Who knows? But we'll take a stab at it. So what do we got today, producer Ron? First one up. Let's go. No words needed. Oh!
BS.
I love it. I love it.
The Bernie Sanders
a mood.
meme.
Yep.
He is a mood.
He is a mood.
What's that?
It's a memes?
Memes?
Let's
Are we
see
get?
it.
Can we get these put in post? Oh. Can we put these in post so our viewers, those of you who are listening, I'm sorry, but first we're seeing a meme with Bernie and the Avengers.
Yeah,
that's funny.
There it is. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh yes.
My man
Bernie
Brian.
on a roller coaster.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so.
GOT.
What
Okay.
is that?
That's Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. I wonder which house he's sorted into.
Oh, I'm out on
Come
Harry Potter.
on.
That's witchcraft,
there
man.
we
I'm
go.
not in on that.
There we go.
He said, "What's that?" That's great.
Box of chocolates.
Witchcraft.
We're sanctified.
I have had that conversation with my father-in-law more times about why you should or should not watch Harry Potter.
Yep.
Well, given that I love Jesus more than you and I'm more spiritual, I have recently bribed my kids into reading. I'm giving them $10 for every Narnia book they finish.
Yes.
So
Nice.
Wow.
Ava's 4 in and Aiden's on his second. So
That is a good bribery.
Yeah,
$40.
I have to,
$10.
That's
steal
a
that
great
book.
idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually, as they get older, that is one of my plans. I'm gonna actually give them you can earn X amount of dollars for these books if you read them, and I'm gonna quiz you so that you retain it.
Nice.
But you have to pass the test. But you get and
quiz.
I'll make
That's
them
clean. That's
I'll make
good.
more incentive as they get older and with bigger books, right?
Yeah,
Like
sure.
I'll have the $100 one out there somewhere.
That's
you know,
a great
like
idea.
$100 in 5 years might be like $10
Yeah,
a day.
It's not
no
worth it
kidding.
anymore.
It's like a shiny nickel. You know? So comments on Bernie. I
love it.
Was he? So I actually, I was late to the game on this because I've been media fasting for quite some time. Yeah. So I was a little slow on it. Was he actually upset, or why is
so.
he just?
I think he was just there. He just didn't care.
Waiting for something.
He's just Bernieing.
He just did.
Yeah.
He just
Cold.
didn't dress up. He just wasn't
look at
like bringing out the pomp and circumstance. He just wanted to be there.
He's
just there.
not a happy guy to begin with. No, at least the public appearances that I've seen him. Right, he's always yelling about something. He's angry.
He's yelling about the billionaires.
That's right, the billionaires.
The billionaires are the problem.
Yeah, angry old man.
He's a millionaire, so the problems can't be millionaires.
Yes.
The problems have to be billionaires.
That's right.
And once he makes his first billion, it's the trillionaires that are ruining everything.
Those two trillionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
No.
God bless Bernie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bernie, glad you're not the president. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Not that I'm any more glad that
Okay.
Mr. Biden is. Okay. Oh,
Right.
ooh. Okay, here we go. Tampa
Oh, dear.
Bay is title town. Tom Brady, fierce defense, leads Tampa Bay Buccaneers to Super Bowl 2021 victory. I mean, I know we've got a
Amazing.
bunch of listeners that don't give a rip about sports,
It's
and we've
true.
got one of our esteemed colleagues here. Shea is not
Yep.
caring.
I mean, I can get behind this. This is cool that
It's a good
he's
story.
won like the most Super Bowls ever,
Yeah,
I believe.
and not even the most. Like last year was the most, or not last year,
That's
but
super impressive.
yeah, for sure.
And I don't even like sports.
For sure, 6 was actually
I'm impressed.
5 was the most, wasn't it? 5 was the most for a quarterback.
No, 6 because he won 6 with the Pats.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah, but he broke his own record.
He broke
And he
his own
broke his own
record.
record,
He's
winning
now
this
broken
one.
his own record
Yeah.
twice,
That
which
is impressive.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
guy
Yeah.
is a winner. That's
Yeah.
just that's the takeaway is
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
dude is just a winner.
he just has
It's-
that like
Yeah.
Mamba mentality
He
of
does.
like, let's win.
He does, and the fact that he went through 3 fairly legendary quarterbacks, including one in an MVP year, to do so is actually like a testament. And he did it when he was 43.
He went through 3.
Yeah, he's no
Like,
spring chicken.
let's
is
go,
he?
old
He's
man.
43, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 things this makes you think about. Thing number 1 is as a Patriots fan,
Yeah.
it's complicated because
it sure
it
is.
really does put things
Yep.
into question.
It was like a breakup.
Because we were pretty big as
Yeah.
Patriots fans on Patriot culture and Belichick, and now that he just moves to Tampa Bay and takes the title with him, it's a little tough to swallow. Not gonna lie. It and the
Yeah.
fact that the Patriots
Yeah.
didn't even make the playoffs, so
No.
There's that.
that's tough.
Yeah.
But from a you ever like I think that in life everybody has thorns in their flesh. Everybody has like I think life's not fair, but God is good, and it's wrong to look at someone who seems to have everything and assume they have got no challenges.
Yep.
But dang it, man! You look at Tom Brady, and like you're
I know.
better looking than everybody.
That's right.
You're taller.
Yeah.
You're richer. You're like I don't know what your
Yeah.
problem is, but there's something that's got to be big. Because
Got like
Under the
he's got
surface.
like a golden family.
I don't know
Yeah.
what your like cross to bear is in life, but you sir have everything, and everyone pretty much likes you. Like I was
know.
watching the celebration, like he's taller than everybody. The
Yeah.
white guys like him. The
He is-
black guys like him.
No.
The opposing team's hugging him.
Yes.
He's just winning everything.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Where's the hole? Where's the flaws?
It's just
Yeah.
not fair. It's
Yeah.
just not fair.
There's got to be a.
No, man, I don't hate. I respect it. The guy's
He's the
a
GOAT.
winner. Tampa Bay.
For sure.
He is the GOAT.
Tampa Bay. All right, what do we got next, Ron? Oh, we need our news anchor.
Hello. Sorry. Go ahead. And your today news is Elon Musk says his startup Neuralink, as he said, has wired up a monkey to play video games using its mind.
Neuralink.
amazing.
Back to you, Rachel.
My dog needs Neuralink. He is due, man. He is
Oh man.
very aggressive with the males and the females
Excellent.
My
and the
man.
furniture.
Right. Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
Neuralink.
My man's burning.
Back to you, Rachel.
Back to you.
So Elon Musk says his startup Neuralink has wired up a monkey to play video games
amazing.
using its mind.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But
I love
scary,
it.
It's
too.
yes.
I love it.
That's
exactly.
scary.
It is we're getting into scary territory here where you just feel uneasy about where is this all heading?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's super scary, but it's also super awesome.
It is.
Well,
It's so cool.
Let's start. Yeah, let's start with the
Yes.
what's praiseworthy is like,
yes.
and let's do it from a theological standpoint. That God made things that can make things like that.
Yes.
That's
Which is
crazy.
profound.
Like that, we're getting into
Yeah.
biotechnology now is quite amazing. So
And I think like the original point of Neuralink is like well, maybe it's not the original point, but it's one of the points is to like cure some mental health
yeah,
problems like
Yeah.
Alzheimer's.
it does
and
open up
Yeah,
a lot
it does
of
open up a lot of-
possibilities.
Parkinson's
a lot of
and all that kind of
possibilities.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which is
For sure.
amazing.
And also, like, I think there was, I think I heard this right, but they mentioned, I think, some like paralysis
Right.
issues where they regrow or like
Like that's game
they
changing.
create another pathway
Huge.
Yeah.
That's
for
insane.
learning to reuse your body.
Crazy.
Well, and it's oversimplistic to think about like what. So if God's going to cure Alzheimer's, or like why does it have to be magic? Why can't God's healing be through ingenuity?
Yeah.
And like this is super nerdy, but like I get thinking about where it says, where Paul talks about we're going to be given a new body, like legitimately that means that God is going to place our consciousness and our spirit and our soul in a different arc, like in a different
container.
In a different container.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, these bodies are gifts. Our current body's a gift, but like, so it's, we just call things that we can't quantify with science as magic and miracles. But like, there's going to come a day where we understand, in eternity, like when we have new bodies, we're like, well, yeah, that's how it works. And this is how you lost your arm. Let's grow you a new one, right? Like there's,
let's get that taken care of.
So
done.
There's I think this is awesome.
So cool.
I am into it. Here's what freaks me out a little bit is like, I'm not one of these people that thinks technology is bad. People are generally bad.
What they're going to do with it is alarming.
And human history has shown more often than not that technology leans towards darkness and not towards.
Or people lean towards darkness, I think.
Well, because we use technology to magnify who we actually are and what we actually want.
Right.
And that's the thing that freaks me out with that is, who's in control of that technology? Is it the user or is it the company that owns it?
Right.
And that's when it gets complicated for me. I'm not worried about the technology, but I want to be sure that they don't have some hacker or some person that can like override me and like
start like advertising in your brain
Oh,
all day.
No.
You just become this like
opens up
cyborg for like
that opens
Amazon.
Can you imagine if I went to take a drink of this water and I got some other alternative water, like it instantly popped up on my retina somewhere, that if I got advertised to by another,
you drink that water and you think it's coffee.
Well, that too. See, that opens up everything.
Right?
That's wild.
That's crazy.
So
okay.
See?
You could be eating like apples and oranges and eating the healthiest stuff and thinking it's crap.
Like
and
we don't even
satisfied.
know what's listen.
Yeah.
We don't even know what's true these days. Like we don't even know what's real. If that
For real.
that goes.
It's just
It's
one
endless.
more. It's one more step towards the Matrix.
Oh, dude.
Oh my gosh.
For real, though. Look, listen.
Hey.
Our government is already convincing
Yes.
us that it is not safe to be in anything other than a uterus.
Right.
It's not safe to be in a uterus.
It's not even safe to be in a
so
uterus.
not
Yeah,
safe
you're
to
right.
be in a
You're
uterus.
right. But it's like we got to get in some kind of cocoon because there are variants and there are diseases and there are bad people out there and
The
there
only
are
people that can keep you safe is us.
Yeah, for real. And so it's like get in the pod.
Yeah.
You know, get in the goop.
Get in the pod.
Here, plug this in.
Plug this into the back of
We're
your.
not far.
For
We're
real.
not. And
Well,
we're not far.
we're a little far, but we're not.
We're
you know,
not
I
that-
know,
like
I
the-
know, I know what you're saying.
The stuff is in place.
Scary, man.
Conceptually,
You're essentially there.
Like yes, yes.
You are. There's methods
Yeah.
to preserve your body at this point.
Well, yes.
And now there's a method to preserve your mind.
for sure.
So what's
no?
keeping you from combining those two
I don't
things?
think they're at preserving or like downloading your mind. I think they're at what Neuralink is your mind, like with the
the electronic.
Yeah, you're
or the
able to
electrical
trigger
impulses.
that technology to do something. It's not. I don't think it's like yet anyway. I don't think they're at like information storage and all
like
that kind of
uploading
stuff.
your consciousness. That's still in sci-fi. land,
Yeah.
From
I
my
think.
understanding, though, it's like if I know how to play piano, I can send you everything I know about playing piano, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have like the tactile whatever you need to do piano, but you now understand what I understand.
like Link.
I think that's where
How do I fly
they
a-
would like to
I
go
need
with
to fly
that.
a
probably.
chopper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just learned kung
Google.
fu.
More. More.
There's nothing that you
There's
wouldn't
so
know.
much in that.
We just
So
lost a lot of
cool.
our audience. Right
No, we
there.
didn't. They're already hooked up to the Matrix.
That's
They're
right.
watching and listening to this. So they already took the blue pill.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, man.
So this does bring up though, like we talk about the mark of the beast, right? Like
Sure.
there is this shows the groundwork for now. I'm preaching through Revelation, so this is pretty hot in my mind. I think there are current marks of the beasts that we
Yes.
need to be aware of. but I think there will ultimately be a final version of that prophecy that's going to come to fruition when God is wrapping up this iteration of human history.
There will be one last
version.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if it's going to be some type of biotechnology that's actually, because I think the point is, like it says, you won't be able to buy or sell without it.
Right.
Like it's going to limit your ability to exist in society, and you have to make a choice to either bow to the beast
Right.
and take the mark, and it's going to probably feel way less bad than it actually is. Like that you're going to have to basically say, that's been the whole argument with the COVID shutdown stuff is like, I hate wearing masks. I hate the fact that they dare tell me I can't sing and all that stuff. It drives me bonkers. But to me, the line is, if you tell me I have to say Blaine Higgs or Trudeau is Lord and Jesus is not, and wear a mask, then we have a problem. Like it's that's true. It's like the who do you bow the knee to ultimately. So I don't think a Christian should say like you should never have a piece of technology integrated into your life. That's overly or even into your body. I think that's overly simplistic of even thinking about how we use these things.
Right.
Yeah. Like
a whole lot different.
All the only thing different between Neuralink and this is I'm using my finger as the point of contact as opposed to the neurons in my brain or whatever. So
I think that I think you're already on a pathway there. Once you get rid of because we are moving towards like a cashless society, right? Like you are the pathways are there. I will give you a lot of that. Like 20 years ago, it would have been in that, you would have been watching like Blade Runner or something when talking about using credits and all that stuff. And I think in a real life application, you never would have thought it would be like this when it's just way more convenient to not carry. And like, to be fair, 98% of the time I don't have money in my pocket. I literally just have my cards and my phone.
I judge people. I was like, who carries money?
Right? Cash? What is cash?
Who does that?
My grandfather used to just have all the bills, but that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, you don't even do that anymore.
No.
And so it's just going to be so comfortable, and so part of society and the way that the world works that you're just not even going to worry about. And then once that happens, once you can start, you have that happening, then you can actually start to control, because they do already, right? In good ways, right? You can actually say, MasterCard says we won't actually allow you to buy from these businesses, which is one of the cool things that happened with Pornhub and just the sort of the sanctions that have been put against a company like that. But that could also happen in a bad way. Say that you could never use your debit card at a church. Right. Like that's true. That's not outside of the realm of that specific control, right?
That's why we are collecting gold here at King's Church. You can give.
You can drop it off at my office.
You can currently give through cash. You can give through Bitcoin and gold. So we'll take all three of those forms of currency. Will there be currency in the new creation?
I think so. I'm not sure if it's really.
Because isn't it like just come and eat?
Yeah. I don't think that.
But again, there's got to be meaningful work.
There's got to be. You got to have some kind of reward.
Totally. There's got to be.
Because he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him.
Well, and he blessed work.
Absolutely.
He blessed creation. Absolutely. He blessed moving and doing. And
I know.
Cultivating. But
the reward of all of cultivating even is that you have your food
and that you can give it.
Right. So.
But if you have no need and you're in a eternal body, what needs do you have? Do you have any needs?
I think there will be needs. Like I just think there won't be any lack.
Okay.
Like I think there will be things that we're supposed to. I mean, you go back to Genesis 1.
Sure.
I mean, it was an incomplete. Yeah. That wasn't a mistake.
No.
It was an incomplete thing where they're in perfect union with each other and with God in a garden, and then outside of the garden was a hot mess that they needed to cultivate.
Sure. But then isn't currency? Doesn't that imply lack? Like if I have
Yeah.
something that you want,
You should
Sure.
just be.
You have to
I
pay
do
me
think,
for it?
I do
Work
think
for
so.
something,
I don't know.
yeah.
It's hard. I mean, this is probably one of those questions where it's like when they ask Jesus, whose wife is she? Right? Or like who? Like, and he's like, you just don't understand how it's going to work in the new creation. But it's probably one of those things. But it is an interesting question to think about. Like, is there need for that? Because like
again, it might be like you might say. You might get an assignment like Jesus might come and say to you, "Hey, would you go and do this?" And you'd be like, "Yes."
And that's all. That's all the deposit.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
Is just a moment with him, and then I just go and do the thing.
Yeah, then maybe like you're assigned like you're tasked something by God. I don't think anyone's gonna not have enough. There's no lack. But there's also, I think, infinite possibility. It's like
sure.
I love nerding out about like space and stuff. It's like I'm gonna go live on the moon of Jupiter for the next
12 million years,
400 years or so. Imagine like Shea, my sister, like family
moon.
reunions. Like, hey, we're gonna meet on
Galaxy
in this
47.
galaxy in 14,000 years. Bring everyone.
Bring your 9 million children.
Bring everyone. Hey, that's the Mormons. That's the Mormons.
Okay, grandchildren,
Then your children,
great
it depends
grandchildren.
on how children and their children.
That's right.
Again, we're speculating
so
on things we
nerdy.
do not understand, but like, will there be? God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply."
Yep.
Is there more multiplication in the new creation,
After? That's
or is
great.
it done?
Well,
Like,
he did say.
Will
that
there be children of Zion? Like, will there be children born in the new creation that
gosh.
knew
That'll be
nothing
amazing.
about this whole world that we live in?
Oh my word!
This
is
let
wild.
me give you a biblical answer. Like if there is, it won't be like it is right now, because he did say
pain
there's
of
no
childbirth
and there's no giving, there's no marriage or giving in marriage.
Right.
There's no
maybe
pain,
maybe what it is
childbearing.
what it was supposed to be in Eden.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Prior to when he said, okay, now you're going to suffer from pain of childbirth.
right.
Yeah.
That's but the mandate to be fruitful and multiply was pre-fall.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to like that was not part of the curse. That was part of the blessing.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, so is that part of the blessing again?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's interesting.
Well,
to
there
think
will be
about.
creation. I would say there will be
That's
creation.
And how far does that go
Right.
in our expression?
We are like if you ever. I just watched like 2 days ago. I rewatched that Scale of the Universe.
Oh my
It
goodness.
is just ridiculous.
Your head starts
Boggling.
tilting forward when you're looking at it. It's like
Yeah, and we
Don't
are
understand.
like in a million years, we're not even like. I can't even imagine what we would actually come up with, but we are just in the way that we would expand.
Yeah.
It's not even close. To from a scale perspective.
there is so much space, and eternity is so much time.
Yep.
Right.
It's like
I know.
imagine.
And
just
we are
like-
so little and so short.
Yeah.
I know, and it's like we
crazy.
get to enjoy.
Yep.
Ava said something the other night, and she goes. Her and Aiden were talking about how old would we be in the year 3000, and and
3,000.
yes. And I was like, you'd be 2,982 years or something, or I don't know. It's anyway 2,912 or something.
Okay.
Right, I don't know. Anyway, or an 8, but I'm like, you will be that old someday.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, because we're gonna live forever.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna, unless the Lord comes back, we're all gonna die at some point, but we're gonna get new bodies that don't ever die. So I plan to celebrate my 2,912th birthday. I don't think we talk about that stuff realistically enough, like presently enough. With
Right.
and then
With our
it
kids
makes us
especially, right?
it makes us afraid of death in a way that
know.
Paul never had that fear. Like he full on meant like, I'm gonna live forever.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of dying. Like I know what's gonna happen. I saw the resurrected Christ, and I get that.
Yeah, I know. And I think there's some level of that is like, we don't give it's like we're afraid to fully buy in somehow to actually the gospel, that we actually like, we know like it's like if we're not looking through the lens of the gospel, everything we just talked about is like completely insane.
Absolutely.
Right. Like, and Paul was the first one to be self-aware about some of that stuff and the wisdom of God, the wisdom of man, foolishness, and all that. But I think that like if we fully realized how amazing Jesus is and the power of the gospel and what's in store for us, that we would actually talk differently. We actually even begin to even though we know what we sound like when we talk about it, we'd still talk about it, right? Even just about the light stuff, like celebrating your 3,000th birthday, right? Like 3,000 with the flashlight. Oh yeah.
What was that from?
Conan O'Brien.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know the best Conan. You know what the best Conan thing is? Paul Rudd. Have you seen
no, I don't
Paul Rudd on Conan? Every time he's on there promoting a movie, he plays the same clip from Mac and Me.
Oh, really?
Of this kid in a wheelchair going off a cliff. And then the alien guy going like this. And like every time over the years, Paul Rudd's been on there, he'll like do this big, hey, I'm in the Friends finale.
Yeah.
This was a great thing. Here's a clip. And then he'll show every time. He's done it like a dozen times
Paul
for
Rudd's
every
the
movie.
best.
It's so funny.
Paul Rudd.
Check out Paul Rudd on Conan.
Yeah.
It's really funny. All right.
That's funny.
Somehow
That
we
was a
got
good
to
one.
Paul
That was a
Rudd
great
and
discussion.
all the one.
That was nerdy.
Headlines.
Take us away.
Headlines.
Take us away. Yep. Cue the music, Ron.
CBS News says that object that whizzed by Earth probably came from an alien world, Harvard professor asserts.
Okay.
Oh no. I'm not ready.
Who picked these headlines? Actually, that CBS article's taken a pretty weak stance on what that Harvard prof is actually. That guy is actually saying, no, that's a freaking spaceship, is what that Harvard guy is saying. Like
I didn't see this.
That's an interstellar probe, is what the
What?
that's what that Harvard prof is saying.
What?
Because they watched a thing travel through our solar system that was going against gravity. Like it wasn't.
Oh, stop
it
it.
wasn't, and then it basically headed out. Like
Travel through our solar system where? I need more information.
well, they're always monitoring like the comets and things passing through.
Yeah.
Right? There's all kinds of things going around our solar system, but they saw this going the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So it meant that it came from some other force.
Yes.
And it got through the Kuiper belt. Is it the Kuiper belt?
Yep. Kuiper belt.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what the Kuiper belt is, it is there's a ring.
I was going to say, isn't that between... Nope, sorry, go ahead.
There's a ring. There's basically a ring around the solar system
Yeah.
it's an asteroid field around the
Yeah.
solar system. If you ever didn't believe in God,
Right.
I know.
about
There's a
like
protective
you've got a
sprinkling of
protective
asteroids.
gravitational asteroid
I
field
know.
that's collecting most of the big issues.
Yep.
And then you've got Saturn and Jupiter that's sucking up all the things that somehow get
I
through
know.
there.
And then there's
just
another one. There's actually between Jupiter and Mars.
Another
That's
little
what I was
bit.
going to say.
I know.
Is it that little
And
one?
then you have just go on your Apple TV screensaver and look at the Earth's atmosphere for a
Yeah.
minute.
I know.
We have an invisible but slightly visible force field around our. No one really knows what it is other
Yep.
than this glory bubble that fits around the Earth.
Yeah, I know.
But hey, this all just
Yeah,
happened.
This is all accidental.
just somehow.
The
strangest
intricacy
thing.
and the magnitude of design is insane.
It is.
And we say this was random. It's just
Oh my goodness.
And yet-
incomprehensible.
So
A lot of
intricate.
us believe that we're the only things that have been designed, and therefore aliens cannot
So-
exist.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
back to
Right.
back to the
Yeah.
this thing, and it was, it was like a cigar shape, right? Like kind of like a.
Okay, we've seen
yes, we've
those
seen
things
cigar
before.
shapes
We've heard of
I
those
see
before.
that.
So
Yeah.
I haven't read this particular article, but I did do some reading on. I did hear about this,
Artist
and
rendition.
yeah, I mean they don't know how it could go that way. Like, so they have no scientific explanation other than it's a spaceship.
Yep.
So
That's fair.
hey, yeah, I mean, and did you hear the one about the rabbi and the priest? No, but there was
They walk into a
the
bar?
reason I checked on the rabbi was the Israeli like astrophysicist and space defense guy that just retired said there are aliens and they're basically not showing themselves until humanity's ready for it or something like that.
Yeah.
He went really public with
Wow,
it.
There's
Maybe.
been okay. So I read.
I've lost everybody.
No.
That guy pastors
listen.
a church?
No. And I know, and I will say this too, that there's been a bunch of articles. There have been in recent months, maybe since the fall, talking specifically about UFOs and how they're real. And
Well, the Pentagon have released all that.
They've declassified all that stuff. And someone said that they've patented now some kind of I think it's the Pentagon or some kind of military in the U.S. have actually patented certain technologies that they're saying, and I don't know if this is true or not, but that's what they've basically, I'm going to use a word that's so nerdy, but fusion technologies that actually could probably be considered alien. So,
well, so let's jump over to the Pentagon stuff.
I'm
So,
lost. I'll be back. I'm going to take a bathroom break.
no, but like, okay, so what do you do with, not just as a citizen, but especially as a Christian,
Yep,
what do you
for
do
sure.
with, so the information, like something like that it literally is, you do have somebody from Harvard shrugging his shoulders and saying, I think the most probable explanation for this is it has alien origin and something else has powered it to go the way it's going. And before you squash my dreams of,
I wasn't going to squash your dreams.
Okay.
I was right there with you.
Okay, good. Before you jump on the bandwagon, and what do you do? So the Pentagon has released all this classified stuff where they are saying these are confirmed.
yeah.
Like, we don't know what that is, and we don't know the science behind it. Like, legitimately, we don't have scientific or technological understanding to know how that thing did that.
Yeah.
And so
I'm scared,
So
guys.
there's two things. Well, I
Yeah.
guess there's three possible things. There's
Yep.
something in nature that we just haven't discovered, which is very plausible.
We don't know
It's
everything.
very arrogant to think we've got it all
Sure does.
locked up.
Sure
So there's
is.
that. But it is a major thing, like, because we basically, physics tells us that for something to go, it takes some type of propulsion and
Correct.
energy.
Yep.
Right. And these things are more being they're not following those rules.
Right.
They're just zipping around with no limits. Like, there's no heat signature, there's no engine.
Yep.
It's just going. So
Yep.
so we either don't know what's going on with physics like we thought we did,
Yep.
which is clear. No,
Which
and
is
in any
highly
case,
likely.
Sure.
B, there's aliens and they're out here
Also
just
highly
searching.
likely.
Or C, and this is maybe China has maybe they've got maybe there's no, but seriously, maybe there's some
Maybe there is.
maybe there are humans that have technology and have mastery on some stuff that we don't have, and that's scary. That's scarier than the aliens, frankly.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I think that's
100%.
less likely than there being
I do
aliens.
too. I do too.
Yeah.
Which is
weird.
horrible to
Why would
say.
you say that?
No, I think if you trailing off our last conversation with the Neuralink and us being 3,000 years
We've
old.
got 7 people listening still, and they're all dudes.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Thanks,
And they're all
Shay.
wearing glasses.
Hold
and
strong
pocket
for the 3
protectors.
females that are
Represent.
left.
I think there is a world maybe where, yes, God has created some other things. Maybe they are celebrating their 3,000th birthday, and their technology is so far beyond what we know and understand. Similar to like what Paul and his friends would have thought about Neuralink. Like,
Sure.
he would have been like, what even is this? Or a car or anything, right? Like, this
Yeah.
defies
Facts.
physics. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But
Good
like,
point.
Yeah, what would Paul have done
Maybe
with
it's-
this?
Yeah.
What is
Right.
this?
Yeah.
What is this witching tablet? You know, like, how do you
or TV.
How do you
like,
see?
their minds would have blown,
For
right?
real.
And so maybe it's a civilization that's
Yeah.
so
Maybe
much
it is.
further ahead. I think when you say like this is an
Wakanda.
alien UFO, everybody automatically goes to this
Green
little
guy.
green Martian,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
know.
I know.
And
Maybe
maybe
they're
it
humanoid.
is that, or maybe it's human. Maybe it's
Yep.
somewhere in the middle. But I don't think it's this unintelligent creature just like shifting around the universe and comes across Earth and starts beaming up cows and
So let's take
peoples.
hang with us, Bradford.
Yes.
Let's.
I'm holding on.
No, this is fun. This is fun stuff. Yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah, trust us. Trust us, Bradford. It's fun.
You're gonna like it.
We're gonna watch Star Wars next.
It's fun.
No, it's fun.
Right? So So take that. Take like just duration of the universe. Like okay, even if we believe in a young Earth kind of thing and God made things old, sure, whatever. But like, let's just say that we all think that probably the universe is billions of years old, and that's probably accurate, and it's that's probably a good way to think about it. That's a long time, and if you take that, we're on human history is on a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of that timeline. And you think of how far we've advanced. I mean, we think that 6,000 years, 8,000 years, whatever, of recorded history is a long time.
Yep.
In the scheme of 1,000,000 years, that's not a long time, let alone billions of years. So
and tens of billions.
Where could we be? Especially when you factor in the help of the Holy Spirit and God working with humans to help us get to where He wants us to go. Where could we be in
another 100 years, even?
Yeah, another or 10,000 years.
Think about what it's been in the last 100.
So let's pretend somewhere off in the infinite expanse of space. Stay with me, people. I can't talk about this in a sermon, so thank you. Thank you.
This is my outlet.
Thank
you.
The final frontier.
Yeah, exactly. But say somewhere out in the expanse of space, there's some civilization that God created that's, let's say of the 8 billion years that they think the universe exists, it's 1 billion years old. And they're advanced, and Jesus redeemed them too, and they have renewed minds, and there's things unfolding and all that. Who's to say that they wouldn't look at us the same way we would look at ants? You know what I mean? Like it's not like we would go to an ant colony and try to explain ourselves to them, like, hey, we're here.
You should do it this way.
So why would we think that aliens would come down and say, greetings, Earthlings, right? Like we might not even be even close enough to be even able to interact with them. So sorry if I lost everybody, but that's
crazy, y'all.
Is that
I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I'm blank.
Yeah, but you know something.
You lost me at Interstellar.
UFO.
It doesn't shake my faith at
Not
all.
at all.
Like
Me
it's
either.
just
Not at
like
all.
we have no idea. We know our story. It's been given to us in a book, right? Like we know what that story is, and it's like it would be silly of us to assume that that's somebody else's story. Right?
It actually like magnifies to me the greatness of God and how right, and like how.
Is God
Just
so small?
immense,
Is
right.
God so small
Exactly.
that he can
Right.
only work this out with us?
Yeah,
Right.
he can
Like,
only manage 8 billion people
and it can
at
only
one
be
time.
exactly
is that
what
his
we're
limit?
going
No
to.
more?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? He could have
Right.
8 billion parallel universes happening.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
he's infinite.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. And the other, I read during this time off from media, I basically plowed through C.S. Lewis's fiction collection. I've never read any of it, so I did the whole Chronicles of Narnia.
You've never read that until now.
No.
Really?
No, it was awesome.
So
Loved
good.
it. I was
So good.
crying through so much of it. Aslan
Come on.
is the Jesus I love,
I know.
and the Jesus that C.S. Lewis loved
Yeah.
or still loves because he's alive too.
Yes,
So anyway, in it though, like one of the cool things about Narnia. Have you read Narnia?
No.
See, that's one.
That's
you are
Yeah.
you are a Christian.
Yes,
Yes.
I know.
You will
I know.
appreciate that
It's
one.
not sci-fi at
dude.
all.
It's the gospel.
Yeah,
It
Sure.
is.
It really is.
and so, but he taught like Aslan is Jesus, and he even says at different times, he's like, he's like, you must get to know me. I go by another name in your world, but you must get to know me, right? Like he's talking to the kids
My
that,
gosh.
it's so good.
like, and that's, it's,
Yeah.
but Lewis very much did think about God in a cosmic sense, and that he's, because in his sci-fi trilogy, he gets into like aliens and that kind of stuff, and like Jesus is still Lord.
Yep.
Right. And like that to me is the big thing is like, is Jesus the center of the universe or not?
Right.
My theology hangs on that. Everything else is up for discussion and how he works that out. And, he might have shown himself as a lion in Narnia, and he might have shown himself as a, first century Jewish man on earth. And he might have shown himself as a green alien on Mars, but he's still
Oh my
the
gosh.
incarnated
Totally.
Son of God.
Totally
So-
is. He
Come
totally is.
on, what's gospel music? What's gospel music on the fourth nebula from the?
It's true though. Like you even back up like 500 years or ish, whatever. It's like when like I think it was like not Magellan. Who's the guy Who's the guy who said everything didn't revolve around the Earth, but the Earth actually revolved around the sun? The guy that they
Galileo.
Galileo, that guy. That he was a Christian, right? Like, and he was the one that challenged these ideas, and they thought they were smart at the time, and they only knew the world and their paradigm and their realities and the sky and the stars. They understood it a certain way, right? And I'm just saying, like, we're at a point where it would be ignorant of us to think that we fully understand galaxies and stars and that they're actually a certain way and there isn't something else to be discovered out there.
Well,
right?
and you think too, like the nature of God, he's a creator. So why would he stop? Like, why would he stop at just us? Which again, I wouldn't put it past him either, just to like put all his eggs into. I just love what I'm doing with this. You know, like that. There's a creative argument to be made to do just one thing really well.
Sure.
Too.
Yeah.
So, but I do think there's a high probability, just based on how big the universe is and how much time there is, that there's more going on than we think. And God is a God of community and connection and multiplication. So who's to say that we don't have the same way that we're working out right now on planet Earth about recognizing that, hey, black people and white people are brothers. Who's to say that some redeemed
a similar
civilization somewhere else where we're going to have to navigate, hey, they've been created in God's image too. They might look a little different than us, but so I feel like I'm losing some people, but anyway, Jesus is just that good and that big for me. And I can imagine him in a bunch of other contexts and it just does my sci-fi nerdery some real good. So.
Great
I feel like we should move.
It's great discussion, guys. I'm learning a lot. This is great. This is encouraging. This is great.
Producer Ron asked us to send him anything that we thought was interesting. So I feel like I send him all of these. So Bradford, you are free. You are free to send him.
That's right.
Whatever you want.
Okay.
So don't complain when it's all sci-fi.
Okay, that's true.
Because clearly
That's
I was the
true.
only
Okay.
one that sent him.
All right.
I set up stuff.
Okay.
I got you.
All right. Here we
Next
go.
one.
Let's read this.
The Guardian says the Pornhub removes millions of videos after investigation finds child abuse content.
Yes.
Back to you, Rachel.
That is.
I don't even know.
I know, right? Well, yay.
We all knew this.
Yay that it's
I know.
like,
Did we? I didn't.
This is not a
didn't know
shock.
that?
Like
this has been
didn't.
ongoing for the last.
when you look
since
into
this
the
all
porn
came out,
world, there's a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
A lot of abuse.
pretty
Like this is a
blind
tangled web
there, I
of
think.
human trafficking, exploitation, and like lack of moderation by meaning moderators. Like in that they've created something and they've had people just upload videos, download videos, keep them, and it's really this sick, twisted sort of ecosystem of, and Pornhub happens to be sort of like the center of that universe, where it's like and if you follow, there's a couple of organizations. One of them's called Exodus Cry, and they're this anti-trafficking. And they've had stories on of people who have had, and this is, I feel like this is only going to get heavy for a second, but they've had
it's worth talking about.
Yeah, but they've had. They've actually had people who are survivors, but have had a video of their, assault or their rape actually online and uploaded. And the if that's not enough, that they would have contacted Pornhub, says this was non-consensual. Please take it down. Or I was underage. Please take it down. And they just didn't.
Yeah.
Or they would do it and they would have, because people have the ability to download, that they would actually take it, and then maybe they might take it down, but then a month later they would be back up there again.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just people having to relive that trauma. Anyway, so this is actually, I mean, again, like the whole thing is it's pretty repulsive, but there's a significant win in the fact that they're actually now being punished And this is the thing is you hit them where they got hit where it hurts, which is in the wallet. Right. So the New York Times ran an article maybe a month or a couple months ago about this particular fact. And once that came out, like Visa, MasterCard, and other major credit cards stopped saying you can actually pay for this service with our platform. And so in a good way, it's actually forced them to actually, I think it's something big, like 75 or 80% of their content.
Yeah, it
they
says
actually had to remove
from 13 million videos to just 4 million.
Yeah. So that's
insane.
It's actually
That's crazy.
insane.
So the majority of their content was stuff that shouldn't have been on there anyway.
Correct.
That is mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read something in the news a week or two ago, a similar thing, but it was with Twitter, that there was an individual who, again, is like exploitation. Their video went out, and this person was trying to get Twitter to take it down, and Twitter wouldn't take it down. You know, and like you have not only, I mean, it's huge that you have those credit card companies kicking back, and it seems like that's a positive thing, that there's some growing sense of outcry and outrage that this is permissible at all.
Yeah.
But you do still see the hypocrisy of big tech.
I know.
In this, like on full display, because the same time you've got whatever his name is, Twitter's Jack Dorsey. Is that it? You know,
That's
you've
the
got
CEO.
him, them kind of kicking around, talking about, you know, you can't say this and you can't do that and you can't have conservative views and this is hate speech and blah, 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 blah. And yet you've got freaking child porn going on in your thing, and you won't actually stand up to those companies.
I know.
It just shows the complete insidious nature of it. Like
even Trump too, right? Like we could go there too when it comes to his tweets being banned and all type of stuff.
Sure.
And you
Right.
have,
You're gonna ban you're banning that. Or even stuff like if there's a COVID related tweet, it'll say something about, you know, actually, or anything Trump used to tweet before they actually just dox them.
Yeah.
You know, it would say like, you know, it would say fact check this or whatever.
Yeah.
There's no accountability though on the whole pornography piece.
There isn't.
And it's like, I do think we're going to look back on this time. I hope that this is a time where it does seem like it's more than just Christians now that are saying, hey, pump the brakes on this. This is bad for human beings.
Yes. And I agree. Like with like guys like, and there's another one, Fight the New Drug, where it's actually like between like psychology, like marriage experts, all of that stuff say that it's actually destructive, and all the lie
the
is
data is overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. The destructive nature of pornography in a relationship, in a specific, like in a marriage or anything like that. So it's really not. It's the growing sentiment. I'm surely it's not quite there yet, but there is a groundswell or a growing sentiment as to the destructive nature of it, and eventually I'd like to. I mean, hopefully we see it. I mean, I got to believe, not even to believe, there will be a day. There will be a day where we see the end to stuff like this, because there is no appetite for it, and there's going to be, you know, Jesus is going to do an amazing work.
Yeah, he's gonna roll that out in the end anyway.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'm right now studying, as of the time of this recording, studying in Revelation 10 and 11, and it over and over is God is flushing the system.
Yep.
And he's like, that's not happening here.
Yeah.
Like if you want to stay with that stuff,
Right.
here's where that's going to go down.
Right.
It's not in my creation. So
Yep.
like there will come a day where that isn't, but I do think the church needs to not just rise up and advocate for you know, people who are, you know, caught in the abuse of this, like trafficked and all that. We need to be advocates for that. But I also think the church needs to get better at finding actual victory in that area and walking in it. Like it's huge. Like it's not a struggle that is not in the church.
Yeah. And I think you're saying something huge there, because I actually believe that, you know, having grown up in the church, I know a time where it was like you never heard about anything, and all of a sudden you only heard the sort of like the blow ups. I actually think, not that we've arrived yet, but I like where we're going and the freedom to talk about struggles with addictions, issues without any condemnation specifically. And I feel like, I'm around a group of people who are willing to unflinchingly walk into that territory and talk about things like restoration and talk about things like you're on a path, you are a perpetrator on whatever level, it doesn't matter because God's grace is big enough for you. But I actually believe that as a culture, even around here, I just, something's really encouraging to me about how we're starting to handle that. And have we arrived? Are we perfect? No, but we're on a good
I think the shift
trajectory.
was over the last couple years specifically. We have felt as a leadership team, especially that, the biggest problem in the church isn't pornography and sexual addiction.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is not admitting that it's there.
Correct.
Talking about it.
And so we started first by saying we are no longer going to just excommunicate people who have an issue. We're not going to be like, ew, and pretend like
For
that.
sure.
Like we're gonna God. We believe that Jesus' grace not only forgives, but it restores and it cleanses, and it's powerful to bring transformation. And we just felt like this is a time for the church to actually learn how to deal with sin, like truthfully and holistically, and not pretend like it's not there.
Yeah, and
That's how we used to deal with it. Put it in the closet and pretend it's not there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
exactly.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Or
And
don't deal with it all. Just pretend it's not
Yeah.
there and let it. And that's why the church has been full of pedophilia and all kinds of craziness because, or like crazy affairs going on, all that because there was no one knew what to do with it, and so they just kind of keep the demon in the closet, and then it just got more and more destructive. Man, that appetite keeps growing, and so we've got things now like CR, we've got things like Freedom Session. We're just diving in, man. We're like not any the church. If the church doesn't know how to heal, how to give people freedom, the world is sunk.
Come on.
So,
And we actually
that's good.
have and are developing like tangible paths for restoration.
And we're seeing it.
Yeah. And it's like it's like this. Either we, when we say something like we believe God's grace is sufficient, and what that actually means for both the victim and the perpetrator, it's just lip service, and it's so cheap if we actually say that without actually putting things in place, having those conversations, putting systems and structures in place to actually serve as a pathway so that someone can walk that path of restoration. And I just believe so strongly with it because it's so like when I can just feel the heart of God all over it.
Yeah. We've had
All
meetings
over it.
in this very room where we just knew God was calling us to that. And it's like, as for us in this house, no more will we be like, hey, we believe God will forgive you, but we can't. Hey, we believe God can heal you, but we can't.
Right.
We're going to fumble our way in it, and we're not going to be perfect at it, but we're not excommunicating people anymore, and or getting people to pretend like they don't have issues.
Yeah. I think we're in a season where I think the Lord is stirring up like issues that don't really indirectly like affect the church. And I think the Lord's exposing that, like stuff like race and stuff like this has like nothing to do with salvation and theology and the carpets and apologetics. Like this is like human life. Yeah. And I think over the last few months, like you've seen this kind of this rise of issues that affect like the heart of God, right? And that's human life. Especially with like kids and race and black, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's kind of where like the ship is kind of stirring to. Of these are things that we need to fight for, not just
the kingdom of God is pressing in, and it's pressing in, and that's a shift. Like even the word like eschatology, like eschatology is how you envision the end, right? Like that's shifted in the church in the last 30 years, where we went through 100 years or so where we kind of had a pretty jacked up idea that Jesus died, so you pray a sinner's prayer and you go to heaven when you die, and that's really it. And it doesn't much matter what you do. Just make sure you're in the club when you die. It's all good. Yeah. the Lord is pushing us and forcing the church to deal with real life because He wants salvation to come into all of life and not just salvation is not just for your death. Yeah. And that's the shift, man. Yeah. And it's like, and if the kingdom's really coming, then the light's gonna go in the dark spots, and it's gonna go in the spaces that we'd like to pretend aren't there even.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, hey, like I'm glad to hear that Pornhub's having a hard time. I hope it's done in Jesus' name, and I hope that it doesn't exist at all. And and to put it out there, like the church does need to call it what it is, man. It's sin. Like don't mess with it.
And I will say this, like let me be prophetic here for a second. Like I think that I really believe that the more that the church is willing to talk about it and to wade into the mess, actually creates a pathway for it affects women, but it also I guess statistically it's predominantly a dude problem. They would actually genuinely walk in holiness and purity. They would go that way. The more that we are vulnerable and admit and open to talk about this, that creates a pathway so that we're actually going to see in places where they are willing to talk about it, be open and vulnerable about it, and receiving the grace of God freely, personally and as a community, that you're actually going to see men and women walk in genuine holiness and purity, and they won't look to those things for any kind of satisfaction.
Yes. Totally. Amen. I think.
Come on.
I think the church. The starting point though is that we need to talk about the elephant in the room.
Sure do.
And we need to talk about it for women too, because women by the numbers
different.
Don't. It looks different, but it's when I read a lot on Kindle.
Sure.
And so it shows all the top titles.
Yeah.
And woman porn's right there.
Sure.
Woman porn's just more story. Yeah. And it's not
more elaborate.
It is totally. Right. Again, some women are actually addicted to pornography as
a visual.
So I'm not trying to just do complete blanket statements, but women, like there's I'm not trying to like wreck everything for you ladies, but there is a subtle thing that you're getting from the Hallmark movies, from the Outlander, from those fantasy, everything just ended just right stories. There is a subtle thing that there's an appetite that you are feeding that be careful is all I'm saying. And so maybe I just offended a lot of people, my mom, my sister, my wife.
No, I'm not offended. I think I'd agree with you. It's a slippery little slope, right?
Yeah, totally. It's the same way. It's the same way that pornography doesn't. Pornography is not just Pornhub,
right?
Absolutely. It's in commercials. It's everywhere. Like it's the girl, how she's presenting herself at the gym. Yep. Like it's like the opportunity to look on something lustfully and to feed something the wrong way inside of you is everywhere. It's not just going online. Because a person could fool themselves to say, "I don't look at porn." Yep. No, you didn't. You just didn't Google it.
Right.
Yeah.
You looked at it different ways, but it's like the Lord, and back to your prophetic point, the Lord is after giving us real victory and knowing, okay, that urge is really a cry on my soul for something else. And I need to get that from Him.
Yes.
100%.
And 100%. And I think that's part of like we're when we sort of like put pornography in the realm of just Pornhub and nothing else. We're actually being really pharisaical about it.
Totally.
We're totally asking and question about Jesus, like where Jesus has the talk of like, it's not like, it's whether or not if you have lust in your heart for a woman, that you're already committing adultery with
not, you didn't do the act.
You didn't do the act, but it's in your mind and it's in your heart. And I think like this is stuff that's been so resounding in me of the last maybe 2 months, of this idea of like, turn from your wicked ways. And it's like the call to the church is like, just everything that you can do to get the culture and not just the culture, but the way that the culture thinks out, like push that out and begin to reframe the way you think according to the gospel, according to the word of God. It's like, it's the come out from among them and be separate and don't touch any unclean thing. It is that cry that it's the call and the invitation and the cry of the Lord over His church specifically to actually begin to just like not tolerate even the way that our own heart and our own desires would begin to encroach and creep up and try to see how close we could get. Like when you start to walk in those territories, you're not in good territory.
Yeah.
Like whether or not you do or not, but you're entertaining things that are actually just so not healthy. It's like, why would we want to see if we can get a little satisfaction when we're already stepping into the realm of corruption, when our full satisfaction comes from Jesus and intimacy with him?
Come on.
Our full,
Come on.
either it does or it doesn't. Like either it does or it doesn't. And if it does, then he has all the satisfaction that we could ever need. Specifically, like for it allows people to just live pure lives. I mean, gosh, some people to live celibate lives. Gosh, if they have to, like whatever that means, our full satisfaction comes from him, and he is enough.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's so much we could say on this,
Yeah, for sure.
and there are so many tangled lies in the culture right now. I mean, the lie of you need sexual gratification in the first place is a lie. Like it's not actually true.
I know.
It's not on Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
And we have absolutely made that an idol. Yeah. And we've convinced ourselves that I can't be me unless I gratify that urge,
For
right?
sure.
And
For
in
sure.
this way that I want to.
Yeah.
So that's a huge lie. It's also a lie, though, that of the enemy to try to convince Christians that, God doesn't want to deal with this with me.
Mm-hmm.
God can't forgive me.
Yep.
Like there's infinite grace for another
There is.
another day. The thing I would say, though, I think people know that. I don't know if we talk enough about it's okay to try to not do this.
Yeah.
It's okay to fight.
Yes.
To fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Like, I don't think Jesus was using hyperbole only when he said, if your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out.
Right.
If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off.
Yeah.
If your phone causes you to lust, don't use a phone.
Yep.
Like this matters enough, and I
Yes,
think the
it
church
does.
needs to start getting to that place where it's like
We do.
you can't afford to. Like there are guys that I just like. You can't be on the internet.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't know what else to tell you other than
Yeah.
you have a track record of showing that you can't be on the internet, or
Yeah.
at least alone you can't.
Yep.
So like, and I think we got to get to the place where like this matters enough for my own health and to the heart of God.
Yeah.
Oh, this is such a good conversation. I think this is so important for the church specifically. Like, and again, like it's like, I think this call is for the church. This season is for the church to hear that call. Like it's not okay for us. I mean, there is that invitation. It is death and destruction for anybody, but specifically in this season, there is a call and a cry to the church to just be separate, to be consecrated.
Totally.
That's consecration, but it's a big word to just be like, I'm not going to think and I'm not going to live like the world does.
I've had, and this is I feel the spirit on this conversation, but I've had the thought too is like, we need to establish a new degree of victory and holiness in this area, especially.
We do.
Because that's going to be the platform on which my kids and our kids,
Right.
like what we hand them, right?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, we get the opportunity to like, I get to show my sons and my daughter how like it's possible.
100%.
I don't want to hand them hey, we couldn't figure it out. Hope you do it better. This is our chance to actually like put Jesus's words to the test, fight to be faithful, believe in his grace that, hey, if we stumble, there is grace.
Yes.
We have an advocate. We are forgiven. He's a father. He picks us back up and says, let's go again. Let's get 10 steps this time. Let's get 12 steps this time. Like we need to be the ones that model that and show how to grow in grace, not just rest in it, but grow in it.
I think we're doing a disservice to our
that's
kids
good.
if my son grows up thinking that this is normal and that everybody does this and it's okay and I can't actually get past this and I'm not good enough, or there's nothing out there that's satisfying enough, I'm going to need this, then I've done my son
Totally.
a very great disservice for him to grow up thinking that this is something that he needs or can't or doesn't have, like, or they're that the Lord's grace doesn't cover him in this area or
Totally.
whatever.
And when culture is feeding that as an acceptable thing more than ever,
Yep.
I think the church needs to double down on being separate from it more than ever. And
I agree.
I think my kids need to see like not us,
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
not us. No, I stopped using Instagram.
Yeah.
and here's why.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
And and it's like you're gonna be in some awkward situations where you may have to step away, and that might create some awkward situations, and we're not going to apologize for it.
Yeah,
But
we're aliens.
This is just the way it is for our family.
Yeah.
Back
Right.
back
think
full circle.
That's right.
We are aliens.
We are
I think it's
aliens.
also important to show them too, but the benefit of being set apart, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not just doing this just because you want to be different or because the Bible told you so, but there's blessing on the other side of it.
100%.
It's about
Right.
life. It's not
Yeah.
about, and that connects back to the, if our theology is that you just got to stay in the club so you can go to heaven,
right.
Right.
then it's really just about escaping, and that's
Yeah.
why like the holiness movement really sort of died off in some ways, because the heart of it wasn't handed down through the
Correct.
generations, just the
Correct.
law.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like if we can show like I love Jesus and he loves me and his life is being fleshed out in my life, and
Wow.
Come on.
I know.
Come on.
and so here's why here's why I say no to that,
Yep.
is because it's a yes to this.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Man, just the Lord's he's so here right now.
Mm-hmm.
So present.
Yeah.
There's something about and again, I don't know
You
who's
just feel the affirmation
Yes.
of his heart on this
Yes.
conversation.
Totally. Man, this is helping somebody.
Yeah.
It is helping,
It is
yeah.
helping
I mean, it's-
somebody.
Wow.
And I just like to say that we're like, again, we haven't arrived, but I'd love to see us, like we all have our stories. Like we all, like everybody has their story, even when
Totally.
it comes to struggling with sexual stuff and whether that's pornography or something else, right? Like there, but I'm sitting here today having experienced victory. Right. And that's come with a lot of intention, a lot of vulnerability. Like there's a degree of victory that I'm walking in
Yes.
now
Come on.
that I wasn't walking in 10 years ago.
And I can testify to that too. And it's not
sure.
to say that you or I don't have current battles.
Correct.
But it is to say there are battles that I used to fight 10 years ago that's not a battle for me anymore.
Absolutely.
It's not a struggle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's a testament to the grace of God in you.
Yeah.
As you fight the fight of faith, he can actually over time transform you.
Yep.
Yes, there's times where you can pray a prayer. Like I have seen people literally like kick alcohol addiction overnight. I've seen that, but that's more rare. It usually looks like walking the
Hard
walk,
work.
step by step by step,
Yep.
day by day
Yep.
by day, and it's gradual transformation.
Yep.
Just out of that faithfulness of like fighting to abide, fighting to stay in step with Jesus.
Yep.
And it is possible.
Absolutely.
It really
Amen.
is. And
Amen.
Yeah.
so
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't possible. If
Yeah.
it was like, oh yeah, it's all except for this thing or whatever, except for these things. Like there's just not like I had this conversation with the Lord and I kind of hinted at it, but I don't know, it was like 7 or 8 years ago. I was like, Lord, if there's anything to this, we're gonna find out. And I was committed that this was like, it was a make or break kind of conversation. And it was like, I was like, we're gonna, if you are who you say you are, we're going to find out. And very much I'm here today saying that he is
Yep.
Come on.
everything that he says he is.
You and I both had that similar journey there about the same time, in the same window, and
for sure.
different language, but I'd prayed the same thing. It's like, God, I don't know like exactly what I know, but
Yep.
if it's you, I want it,
Yep.
and do whatever you want in me, you know,
Yeah.
and like
Come on.
that yieldedness is all that God needs.
Yeah.
And he keeps recycling that conversation. Like,
Yeah, he does.
will you do it again? Will
Yeah.
you let me in here? Will you give me this too? And that never stops, but there is a huge victory though that happens the first time you really yield your heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it's like, it's the difference between, when I've heard it said before, like when you pray and you give, you ask Jesus into your heart, which is really, let's not get into that, but,
Yep.
it's like you get all of him,
Yeah.
right? Like there's nothing that God holds back from you. You get all of him. But the thing that has to happen over time is there's a moment where you give yourself to him, and that doesn't happen overnight, and it's a gradual yielding. But anyway, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Whew.
Really good.
Amen.
Really good.
Let's do something superficial, Ron. No, I don't know what you got. Let's do how long? We about hour or so in. We got time for one more. That was really good.
That was
really good. Let's do one more.
Another heavy one.
Oh, okay. Let's do
All
one
right.
more heavy one, and then we'll end with a light one. So
Yep.
all right.
Gotcha.
You're gonna do the.
Got you.
All right, here we go. Another heavy one. Why not? Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Yeah. So I think let's just read. Just read it.
Let's
just read it.
750 Christians murdered at church service massacre
Oh my gosh!
in Ethiopia.
Yep.
First reaction is we are so insulated here
Oh my word.
from the struggles that the rest of the world has. It's just, I was just yesterday texting with a sister in our church who is from South Africa, and like they've got family that are struggling. Like they've got loved ones who have died from COVID.
Yep.
You know, like it's legit
Right.
around the world. Like and it just reminded me, I am annoyed legitimately, and we can let's stay out of the COVID weeds, but I am annoyed with how like crazy we've been on some of that. But at the same time, just it's a sobering reminder that man, there are challenges that people are facing all over the world that we know nothing about in our culture. And then you take it from a Christian perspective, and we're getting, I'm getting annoyed that I can't
Have to wear a mask.
you have to wear a mask, and I have to do
that's right.
50 max in church.
We can't sing.
And people are being massacred
Yep.
like Christians. Like that's
Yeah, I sent this article in and I read it, and it happened back in January. And the fact that nobody's
Nobody
heard
talks about
about
it.
750
That's
Christians
not
massacred.
that's not major news.
Right? They were taken out individually, executed for being Christians. So some political group or something. I can't remember.
my
But
goodness.
yeah, they were individually executed. Mothers, fathers, children. It's horrible.
Wow.
That's the fact that that's not news, the fact that
Right.
doesn't,
It was just on some obscure, like,
I don't even know what PM is.
Right?
Like, what is this website? Like,
Post millennial.
do we, man, well,
I'll say this that and maybe we can approach it at this angle. Is that it's a profound and unimaginable tragedy and an atrocity. I will say that the way that the church and the gospel has advanced, the Lord has a way of miraculously using persecution of the church to explode the gospel in worldwide. Like you can't look at the history of the church. You can't I love reading it's like in a hopeful way, but also just like I want to know my history, like something like Fox's Book of Martyrs, to hear the stories and the testimonies of people. And we already know, like, you hear about these things, but just the way that but the gospel advances miraculously through and I will say, like, it will advance miraculously through something like this.
that's actually the central, and I'm right in the midst of message prep, right now. This is a break in my week, and like the central message in the book of Revelation, alongside the whole promise of the new creation, the message to the church is, if you stand faithful even unto death, there is life and a crown of glory. Like literally, that actually is the central message that was given to the church in 96 AD, when Domitian was absolutely annihilating Christians everywhere. It was an encoded message that said, I know you're dying for this. There's nothing more pleasing to the Father. Like, and if you can just hold on, if you can just trust even to death, I will give you the crown of life. And so like that, and then at multiple points through Revelation, you get glimpses into the throne room of God on the throne with the martyrs right there at his, like, with him.
Oh.
So, like, I hear about that, and on the one hand, I grieve and thank God for my blessings.
Yep.
On the other hand, my theology tells me that as tragic and as horrific as that is, I believe they will be supremely rewarded for that.
Yeah.
And God won't waste 1 ounce of their blood.
He won't.
No.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like that's the pathway. Like you just say, it's evidenced over and over and over again that those who are willing to lay their lives down. And it's like you ask those questions. I ask those questions. Like if I was in that church, how would I react?
I know.
Right. And you read something like Fox's Book of Martyrs and you hear that even the joyful way that someone who is on their way to being martyred responds at the privilege of sharing the sufferings of Christ.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, I have no idea until if that, maybe that will be my lot, maybe it won't, but I would love to think that would be my, that would be my reaction. I was like, okay, it's going to be over soon.
And it's going to begin.
And it's like, there will be an end to this suffering and it will be soon. And and that would cause not only peace, but also joy, that I would be able to respond in a joyful way. And I just like, you don't know until it happens, but you'd like to think that you were, by the grace of God, you were able to respond that way.
I would hope so. Like, I think that's it. That actually is the tell though.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
right.
like I have to, I mean, that's the ultimate, deny him. I won't take my life.
Yeah.
For the sake of conversation, and just say I totally agree with everything you said, but what about, just for the sake of conversation, what about the children that went to church that day who didn't have a choice to go to church? Their parents went to church.
Yeah.
And they have since been executed. Or like if you went to church and took your children,
right,
and you've decided your children are a little bit older.
I think,
let's talk about your kids who aren't really old enough to make a decision whether or not they want to follow Christ, and yet their parents have decided for them that they're going to go to church, and they end up
extra. I think that's extra.
Completely.
Again, all the same things apply.
Oh, I know. I'm just
think
throwing up.
and
sure.
I think God is way more honoring of family lines than we think. And man, when you start thinking about the promises in the scripture about, salvation came to his whole household.
Yes.
Like, did they all understand? I don't know, but he did, and that
mattered.
And you read through the book of Kings, there's like, you're wicked, but because of your father David, I'm going to bless you. So there's stuff that God works out through family lines that I think defies our sense of what's, the big thing though is like that God won't waste the drop of their blood, for them in their own reward, but also for God's purposes on the earth. Because that's the message of the book of Revelation is it's a promise to personal reward for the faithful.
Yeah.
And also it's the proclamation that what's going to save the world is actually when we are faithful to the bitter end. Because I'll give you a little spoiler to my message this weekend, which probably will have already aired by the time this airs, but is like, you read about the judgments in Revelation, right? Like just gnarly stuff, right?
Yeah.
The 6 seals come out, earthquakes and horsemen of the apocalypse and famine and disease, and then that's just round 1, and then we get the trumpets blowing and woes and just wildness. But multiple times it keeps saying, and the people of the earth did not repent, and the people of the earth did not repent.
Yeah.
Then it gets to chapter 10, and John is told to take the scroll that was in the hand of the Lamb that's now been unfolded. All 7 seals have been opened, and he says, eat the scroll.
Yeah.
And then say what it says, basically. And when he eats it, he gets a vision. And the vision is of the church. Now, people have misinterpreted that. There's 2 witnesses and a temple. He measures the temple, which we know the temple is who? It's the church.
Yep.
And then there's the 2 witnesses. And there's all kinds of stuff I'm going to unpack in the sermon. But anyway, the witnesses come on the scene. They proclaim the good news. The the earth bucks against them. They die in the street. The beast kills them.
Right.
And then 3.5 days later, they rise again. And then at the end of that, it says, and the people and the nations repented.
Wow.
So like, and that the key is, the thing that's going to convince this dark world is not judgment. It's not us coming in heavy-handed. It's not God saying repent or else.
Yep.
It's when the light shines, the martyrs shine in the darkness. That's what calls people to, wow, God is good.
Wow. Oh,
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's wild. Like that's the message. That's the message of
mercy.
Revelation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
It is that in that scenario where someone is laying down their life, you could say, and not this isn't a hypothesis, but actually that is the darkest situation, and that is also the brightest light.
yes,
Right.
exactly.
Wow.
Right. And that's the
that's
and
right.
real nerd Bible nerd moment.
Yeah.
If people saw our Revelation series, we had a guest preacher a couple weeks ago, Daryl Johnson, and he talked about how a lot of first century Eastern communication was like a chiasm, and basically, in the way we talk is you kind of save your best point for last. Well, they buried the main point in the middle,
Right.
and the very middle of the book of Revelation is the two witnesses rise again, and basically the verse that says, "And the nations repented." Like
Oh my God.
that is like the
Come on.
point of the book of Revelation.
It's good.
Imagine how we've missed it.
Yeah.
Making it about are the demon locusts Apache helicopters, and what about the fourth blood moon and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And we've missed the actual real message in there that is like stay faithful, and follow the Lamb. Follow the Lamb who laid his life down, who didn't lord over people and muscle them into, because it doesn't work. It just makes people hardened.
Yeah.
But the thing that breaks through to their hearts is when you lay your life down out of love for Jesus and love for his world. That's the thing that breaks through hard hearts.
Man.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
That'll preach.
That
Thanks for
will
helping
preach.
me. Thanks for helping me with my message prep.
Come on.
Which is weird because people will probably have heard the sermon
message
before
first.
they hear this, but that's okay. Maybe we'll air
okay.
this week or something. So yeah. All right, let's do one more, producer Ron, and then we'll call it a day. This has been a good one, guys. This has been
a
fun.
good one.
Just a simple one.
Okay, let's do
Alien
a
space. Amazon's Jeff Bezos.
Oh yeah, no, cue the music. Let's make this one. We need to get that anchor voice.
This sucks.
CBC says that Amazon's Jeff Bezos stepping down nearly 30 years after founding company. And that's Amazon.
Yes. Back to you.
Back to you, Brent.
I feel
Douglas?
extra white when you say Brent. Brent.
Brent.
Oh man.
Wow.
Smart. Good idea.
What?
Was
I
he-
guess-
Wise owl.
Leadership,
Does
right?
he,
I
does he
mean,
have
gonna-
enough in his retirement though? Like, is he,
Yeah,
is
is
he
he gonna be
sure, Is he
okay?
sure it's a good time to step
Is he
away?
going to be okay?
Well,
He'd be what? 40, late 40s?
oh no,
no,
he'd be
57.
late 50s. I would
It's
think.
Oh,
right
you
there.
think
It's
late
right
50s?
there.
Yeah. Oh,
Bezos,
Shea.
57.
You're
See?
older than you think you are.
I know.
That was
Yeah.
clearly
I know.
that's clearly a sign
I know,
that you
sorry.
are.
It's a good time to retire.
57.
He's wise.
Yes,
Get
absolutely.
out while you can.
I have no appetite to retire.
No,
Really?
you think that?
I have every
What's he
appetite.
gonna do? Like he's not gonna.
Not that I don't want my job.
He's gonna be like going stir crazy. Like he
Totally.
must have
Yeah.
something next.
He's probably going to
well,
He's gonna
start.
That's
do
right.
something.
Yeah,
Something
and
else.
where
Yeah.
guys
He's gonna start something.
there's not even a next. I bet you he's subtly shifting. I think he's actually just going to be the chairman of the board, which basically means he doesn't have to run the operation, but
Okay.
gets to run everything.
Yeah.
Makes
It's like
all the decisions.
he's like, I
still.
don't have to have the stress of making this work. I just
Right.
get to say what you need to do.
Right.
I think that's really what
and you
he's
continue to
probably
pay
doing.
me for it.
So, and
Yeah,
that's
okay.
most of the, you see these high level guys shift. Like
Yeah.
there's no way he's going to go chill.
No, he's not.
So, and I get that. I couldn't do retirement. Like I won't always lead King's Church until I'm 90, I'm sure, but I would hope I'm in ministry, and when I die, I'm going to rise again. I'm going to go off and explore the universe, as we already
right.
talked about. So
Yeah.
So that's that. So
That's funny.
so yeah. All right. Well,
Well, congrats,
great.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope you
Good
enjoy.
job.
Share your
Yeah.
wealth.
I would love
Right
to
on.
offer
That's a
salary.
whole other conversation. Like that's a slippery conversation when you get into share your wealth, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh,
yeah, well
yeah.
let's take the log out of our own eyes. Like
know.
we are the 1%, right? Like
true.
in the
It's
world.
true.
But
Yeah.
yeah, at the same time though, I mean these guys who have $40 billion, like they actually have the means to deal with
What even
like,
is that?
a lot of poverty.
Can't even
I know,
wrap my head
and
around
it's like
40
this
billion.
this whole idea of like forced redistribution of wealth is an insane proposition anyway.
Totally.
Because like number one, like I think I just read this the other day. If you take up all the billionaires in America or even worldwide, let's just say in America, you'd come up with a number like a couple $1 trillion, which is basically enough to run the U.S. government for 8 months. So it's like it's such a ridiculous idea that actually won't achieve anything.
Yep.
I heard Jordan Peterson once talk about like the answer isn't forced. It's not forced equality. The answer really is going to have to take heart changes. Like
Yep.
he said that, and it made great sense for the gospel. But he said, that the people, no matter what you do, like if we just press the reset button, there would be a few exceptions to this rule, but by and large, within 10 years, if everybody just said, okay, everybody's going to get an average household income around the world, everyone's going to get $45K a year,
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Within 5 to 10 years, you would have a lot of the gaps
Yes.
again,
Yeah.
because poverty has a lot to do
Yes.
with knowing what to do with
Yes.
wealth. It's
Yes.
not just I have disadvantages. It's also I actually know how. Like Jeff Bezos is probably going to find a way to be rich again.
Yeah.
Will he be Amazon rich? I think he kind of hit the lottery with
Yeah.
that in some ways, but the other way, like he there's a reason why
Yep.
those guys are where they are. And that's the whole argument against forced equality, is that it's not just as simple as saying everyone gets the same, because
Yep.
given enough time, there are people who here's the thing, God doesn't give everyone the same. There are people who are smarter than other people. There are people who are more capable than other people. There are people who are more attractive than other people.
Yep.
God wants us, those who have much, to be those who care about those who have
Yes.
less.
Yep.
Not, well, we're just going to make it all equal. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed
Correct.
to be,
Correct.
there's more than enough for all of us. And if you don't know how to get more, I'm going to help you.
Right.
Totally.
That's how it's
totally.
supposed to be.
Yeah, I heard this saying as like if you take a pauper and you put him in a palace, pretty soon the palace will be a slum. But if you take a prince and put him in a slum, pretty soon the slum becomes a palace.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's really just it's something.
There are exceptions
Yeah.
to it. Like
Sure
there
there are.
legitimately,
Yeah.
and this comes back to like the systemic stuff. Like there legitimately are people who just need a chance and they need to be
Yeah.
propped up over the fence.
I agree.
But a lot of the time though, it more is a mentality thing,
100%.
right? It's someone's gonna. That's why what was that reality show about millionaire, like guys who were millionaires starting a company to see within a year or something if they could be millionaires again, and most of the time they can. Like they just know.
They just know.
It's
if I do
education
this-
too, right? Like
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
There
it's
is-
education, application, aptitude,
Yeah.
all those things, and it comes back down to, and that's the hard part when you take God out of the equation. Like, I believe that God in His wisdom made me exactly how I am,
Right.
and for better and worse, And it's like there are weaknesses that He gave me that He wants me to figure out, like how to find His grace for it, but also how to lean on people who are strong.
Yep.
And there are strengths He gave me that He wants me to be responsible with to help be a lifter of other people.
Yes.
And that's his
good.
design. I mean, you look Parable of the Talents, man. Like God did not come and say, you're all getting 5 talents. He gave one.
Yep.
He gave 1 2. He gave 1 5.
Yep.
And then the guy with 5 came back and doubled it.
Yep.
And he said, "Good job. I'm going to give you more."
Yep.
And that's how He operates.
Yep.
But it's like he wants us to be like Him, and that is to be generous and caring for those who have less.
Yep. Absolutely.
Wow.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
good place to end. Guys,
That was fun.
it was fun. I enjoy these. Let's do it
Yeah.
again in a couple weeks.
Lots of
Let's do
aliens
it.
talk.
So,
Yeah.
Less sci-fi next
Hey,
time.
it's on you.
Okay,
It's
Brad,
on you.
okay,
It's
that's
on
right.
you. It's
That's
on
right.
you. It's on
I'm
you.
gonna bring some food articles.
Ooh,
Yes.
Okay.
Talk about the Food Network.
You know what? And by then, I'm finishing up a little diet I've been on
Okay,
for the
let's
last
go.
40 days or so that I am ready. You should bring some wings. We should
I will.
We should do wings.
Nobody wants to listen to us
Oh.
chewing on
Shoot
a
the
chicken
wing.
wing.
You are right.
You,
I would
least of
not-
all.
I would not listen to that podcast. There's zero chance I could sit here with headphones on while you smack,
That's right.
or you
Me
smack
especially.
the chicken lick
Yeah.
off your fingers. Zero chance.
Misophonia is a real
Yeah.
issue.
It's a real condition. All right, see ya, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It was just a good conversation all around. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And would you do us a favor? It does help us get the word out and expand the platform a little bit. When you leave a review, when you share it, when you let someone else know about it, it sure helps get the word out. So, hey, we'll see you next time on the Speaking Of podcast.